At the launch of the Redmi K series in India, I could hear the collective disappointment at the launch area when Manu Kumar Jain announced the price of the Redmi K20. It is priced much higher than what the people expected it to be priced at. Although shocking people with low launch prices has been sort of a trend for Xiaomi, so which is probably the reason why people are expecting a low price from the Redmi K20 as well. You know what, in my reviews, I don't like to talk in detail about the price of a smartphone, except for the value for money part, but in this review, I'm going to make an exception. So is the Redmi K20 actually expensive, or are we missing the bigger picture here? Hi, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and in this video, we're going to find out the answer to that question and more in our review of the newly launched Redmi K20. But before we move on, the Redmi K20 has another color variant which is called the Flame Red. The subscribe button is also red in color, so please go and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. Right off the bat, the Redmi K20 is identical to the Redmi K20 Pro in many aspects, which is why I'm not going to be discussing the similarities between the two in detail, for which you can check out our full review of the Redmi K20 Pro, which should come up in a card right now. But let's start off with the design. The outer chassis of the K20 is the same as the K20 Pro. In fact, we got the glacier blue variant of both the phones for review, and since I was reviewing both the phones together, I'd end up mistaking the two often. As far as the design is concerned, you get the same glass and metal sandwich design protected by Gorilla Glass 5, a pop-out selfie camera, full screen display, in-display fingerprint scanner, USB Type-C port, headphone jack, a dual SIM card with no SD card extension, single mono speaker. Well, you get the drift. The K20 Pro and K20 are identical. Now moving on to the display, the 6.39-inch AMOLED display is also identical in terms of specs, with HDR support, wideband L1 certification, DCI-P3 color gamut, and more. However, I did notice that the default color temperature on my two review units, the K20 and the K20 Pro, were different. The K20 had a pink tone to the whites compared to the neutral temperature of the K20 Pro. But I'm nitpicking here. You can actually change the color temperature to your liking, and you won't really notice it if you don't keep the devices side by side. Obviously, the software is same with the Poco launcher on top of MIUI 10, and the best part is no ads, at least in the system apps. The pesky notifications from the first party apps continue to be an irritant though. Also remember to switch off the personalized ad notification recommendation when you set up the phone for the first time. You also get the same great high-res certification for audio, and listening to my playlist using the K20 was a great experience, sonically speaking. All these similarities that we've just checked right now makes the Redmi K20 as premium as the Redmi K20 Pro. Keep that in mind when we discuss the price at the end of the review. The first major difference between the K20 and the K20 Pro is that Snapdragon 855 has been replaced by Snapdragon 730. So how does this brand new super mid-range Qualcomm chipset perform? It is considerably fast. Let's quickly take a look at the benchmark score comparisons between the Snapdragon 730, 710, 712 and 845. We've run Antutu, Geekbench and 3D Mark for this comparison. As you can see, Snapdragon 730 is considerably more powerful than the other super mid-range chipsets and comes tantalizingly close to the performance of the Snapdragon 845. Forget benchmarks, the daily usage is excellent. The phone just screams through most tasks you throw at it, no worries. PUBG starts at high graphics by default, but you can play only at HD settings at max. There's no support for HDR. That said, I got consistently good frame rates and no frame drops whatsoever. In fact, the same great Game Turbo 2.0 from the Redmi K20 Pro has also been ported to the Redmi K20. So you can achieve higher touch sampling rate, which is basically to improve the touch sensitivity while you're playing, and also brings more life to picture quality in games. I'm sure gamers will appreciate this feature because I definitely did. The Redmi K20 is the first phone in India to come with a Snapdragon 730 processor, and this processor is excellent, my friends. Again, keep that in mind when we discuss the price in the end. As far as the camera specs are concerned, the Redmi K20 has only one difference compared to the K20 Pro. The K20 has a Sony IMX582 sensor, which is a pared down version of the IMX586. Essentially, since the Snapdragon 730 cannot support 4K 60fps video recording, you can't do that on the K20. Otherwise, the camera sensors IMX582 and IMX586 are near identical even in terms of performance. You get the same great details at close crop and even at 48 megapixel resolution, and the same highlight clipping issues as well. The selfies are bright and overexposed. All the three cameras can shoot video at 4K 30 FPS with EIS, which is basically the wide angle, and telephoto can also shoot 4K 30 FPS video. There is no OIS on any camera. The selfie camera footage is not stabilized. The audio recording in videos is not that great, but it continues to be okay, decent at best. Low light shots with night mode on and off are pretty good for a mid-range phone. Now compared to the Realme X, Shri has a comparison coming on the channel, and I'll suggest that you wait for it because it's going to be a very interesting one. So I don't want to reveal anything right now, but the Redmi K20's cameras are pretty good. Overall, the triple camera setup on the Redmi K20 and the pop-out selfie camera makes it one of the most versatile cameras that you can buy in this price range. You can also get some good shots, but you need to be patient for that, and you need to know how to control the exposure. Otherwise, great cameras nonetheless. Let's take a look at it once again in the end of the video. The Redmi K20 has the same 4000 mAh battery as the Redmi K20 Pro. Interestingly, on the Redmi K20, you get the same 7-hour screen on time that I got with the Redmi K20 Pro. So even the battery life is very similar. The only difference between the two, at least in terms of specs, is the charging speeds. While the K20 Pro supports 27 watt charging and the K20 tops out at 18 watt charging. During my testing, the K20's 18 watt inbox charger charged the phone from 0 to 100 in under 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is the same time achieved by the K20 Pro. So finally, we are at the end of the video and we're going to be checking out the price of the K20, and the K20 was actually launched at Rs 21,999 for the 6GB 64GB variant, which is the variant we actually reviewed. And now this price has met with some criticism in the extended tech circles, people who've been following Xiaomi for a long time. Having said that, I feel that most people who think that the price is expensive have a bit of a myopic opinion in this matter. I think that you need to look at the bigger picture, and I think that the Redmi K20 is actually priced fairly well. Now let me break down why I think that it is priced well. Firstly, now coming back to what's inside the phone, you get a Snapdragon 730 chip. This is Qualcomm's latest mid-range chipset. It is the most powerful mid-range chipset, and it is almost as powerful as the 845. I don't know why that Xiaomi should be pricing this phone any lower than the current price. Now secondly, the software experience on the Redmi K20 and the K20 Pro are similar, making it very equal in terms of flagship performance that you get from the phone. I mean, of course, the software experience is not that great, but you get Poco Launcher on both the phones. Now the third bit, and it is very important to notice this is the K20, this is the K20 Pro. You can't tell the two apart because they are identically chassis wise, they're identically the same. The design, the fit, the finish, the K20 and the K20 Pro are extremely great flagship products, and this is Redmi upping its game. So you know what, you're not losing out on that flagship feel with the Redmi K20 or the Redmi K20 Pro. Also, the camera performance of the Redmi K20 is almost similar to the Redmi K20 Pro, considering the fact that the Redmi K20 Pro has one advantage, which is a very tiny advantage, that it can actually shoot 4K 60 FPS video compared to 4K 30 FPS, which is the max limit on the Redmi K20. So now between the two phones, the Redmi K20 Pro is priced at 27,999 for the base variant, which is the 6GB 128GB variant. So the 6GB 64GB variant, which is priced at 22,000. So the price difference between the base variants is Rs 6,000, which is a slim margin for, you know, the 855 that you get inside the Redmi K20 Pro, which is a big deal in a lot of people's opinions. And of course, you get the dual GPS functionality, which I don't know if it's a big deal for a lot of people when they're making a purchase, but otherwise, you know, the price margin is not that much. Having said that, the Redmi K20's price is still pretty good, and I think that it is totally worth the price. Now what matters is not the comparison with the Redmi K20 Pro, but with its immediate peers. So let's take a look at that. Yes, the Realme X is the first phone that everyone will compare the K20 with. For Rs 5,000 more, you get a more premium glass finish, a triple camera setup and a better chipset. Actually, if you can live with the difference in performance, the Realme X is an excellent deal. Alliteration intended. I'm not really worried about the plastic body either. You can't really tell the difference because I really thought the Realme X had glass. Having said that, the Redmi K20 with its glass is actually a better build than the Realme X. Now, when you compare it to the Poco F1, this is a tough one. The Poco F1 doesn't have the same fit and finish of the K20, but it does have a slightly better SoC. I'd still go for the newer phone, which is the K20 in this case, despite the price difference. Now, the Vivo Z1 Pro might not be as polished as the Redmi K20, or it might not even have an AMOLED panel. However, the Z1 Pro definitely has a great price for the specs it is offering, and the price difference is massive. If you're looking to penny pinch, you can skip the K20 for the Z1 Pro. To sum it up, the K20's price might have left a bitter taste, but after the dust has settled, I think you will see the phone for what it offers and not for its price, and it does offer a lot. As for me, I think that the Redmi K20 is priced appropriately, and it also sticks to Xiaomi's honest pricing philosophy, so which is absolutely great. Now, if Xiaomi were to price this phone any lower, it might as well have sold it for free instead. So that's it from me. That was my review of the Redmi K20. I know that I discussed the price a lot in this video, but that is probably the most important thing that everybody wants to talk about. Of course, the phone is almost as good as the K20 Pro in many aspects. Do let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Redmi K20. Until next time, this is Ershad from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.